He asked if I was on Zepbound, and you'll never believe what happened next. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Elizabeth, Countess of Shopping. I've lost over 110 pounds the last 2.5 years of being on Zepbound, Mounjaro, and Tirzepatide compound, not at the same time. Different times because of the shortage. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about people. Is it rude to ask someone if they're taking Zepbound or Ozempic? We're going to go through some of these. And also, I have some other compliments too that we're going to talk about as well. I'm super curious if you guys have experienced these as well. But a new article came out literally yesterday in the Washington Post. I'll cite my source down below, which is fascinating, about this new curious phenomenon where people are asking other people if they're on Ozempic or Zepbound or Wegovy or whatever. Are you on a GLP-1? And this whole article was talking about it. And I'm like, what's worse? Someone being like, oh, you have such a pretty face if you just lost weight, or people outing you if you're on GLP-1 and you don't necessarily want it to be outed that you're on GLP-1. Well, I can't wait to dive into this article. So literally 12% of the population has been, of the United States population, has been on a GLP-1 medication from the 2024 KFF health tracking poll. And the prescriptions have soared over the last few years with Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy. And so this new medication that has come to pass is truly life-changing. And so the author of this video, they're actually were on GLP-1 because of insulin resistance and cardiovascular disease and prediabetes. And so the question was, is it okay to ask someone if they're taking a GLP-1 inhibitor? And so someone... Yeah, I find this article hysterical, also like a whole bunch of things. But basically what it was is people are looking at other people and like, do they have cancer? Like, is there something physically wrong with them when there's substantial weight loss? And so the answer was, I absolutely don't think people should be empowered to ask somebody about their medication without an invitation to do so. And y'all know I love to quote me some Emily Post. Lizzie Post is the great-great-granddaughter of etiquette guru Emily Post, and co-president of the institute that bears her name, agrees. Explaining medications we take and the procedures we undergo are private. You wouldn't walk up to somebody and be like, hey, are you on Botox? So why would you do that with GLP-1 medication? The bottom line, don't ask. Mostly, it's probably a very good idea. Avoid speculating on social media also about celebrities and their mysterious weight loss. That is one of my pet peeves. Is when people are outing other people for being on GLP-1 medication. Like, leave them alone. Let them, like with Kelly Clarkson and things like that. She's now since come out, but previous people, like, let them do their thing when they feel comfortable. Clearly, it's probably a source of pain. For me, it definitely was. But for me, I outed myself when I was on the Oprah show on the Shame, Blame, and Weight Loss Revolution on March of 2024. Was it 2024? Yeah, or 2023. Whenever it was, I was in the show, and then my segment got cut from being in the show, and then I was on the after show. My family did not know up until that point. I had told friends, but I had not told my family. So I told my family, hey, guess what? I met Oprah. I'm gonna be on Oprah, and here's the show's topic. Subsequently, I look at that picture and I'm like, dang, I've lost even more weight. I thought on that show I had lost a ton of weight, but now I look at myself and I'm like, you go, girl, you lost more weight, which I have. I've lost 110 pounds total. So going back over to this article, a registered dietitian, going back over, is having these tricky conversations without being offensive. It depends on the friend. And I have some girlfriends that I'll ask like nosy questions. I'm like, girl, what'd you do? You had some face work done. Tell me. I want to know so I can do it too. Tell me all the secrets. I have friends like that we have that relationship of where we can do that. But then there's other people who I would never step over that line. I think part of it is knowing the relationship you have with somebody. But also, why is our body size on the table? We were talking in my free encouragement group on countessofshopping.com/group about insults that were compliments we used to get before. One being like, oh, you have such a pretty face if you just lost weight. These backhanded compliments. Or somebody else had posted, it was such a good one. Let me see if I can pull it. I just answered it. I was like, that's another good one. It was, oh, I think I lost it. Oh, I wanted to do that. It was another really, really good insulting one where you're like, are you kidding me right now saying this to me? Like, what? Oh, it's you wear your weight well. Thank you. Blonde wrote that as one of her comments. I'm like, yeah, I used to get that too, where it was like super sarcasm of you wear your weight really well. It's like, thanks, wacko. Like, could you not? But so how should we respond to these questions? I think that's the bottom line, is that if curiosity is driving people to ask this question, curb it, zip it, lock it, put it in your pocket. Like, don't ask that question. It has in here some of the snappy responses. Oh, I got hair in my mouth. I'm so excited about this topic. Wilma, my dog's hair is in my mouth. Is that there's stigma still associated with weight? 100%, 100%. Quite frankly, back when I weighed over 300 pounds, I'm like, man, I wish I had like a drug addiction or something like that. Because you can kind of somewhat hide that, but you cannot hide being morbidly obese, that you have a raging food issue. Like literally, there's no hiding that. Like, I can't hide it under a coat, whereas some other addictions you can kind of somewhat, not all, people are going to blow that out of proportion what I just said. I mean, for some of it, maybe at the beginning part of the addiction, not everybody knows. Being morbidly obese in this far right picture, everybody knew. You could just look at me and be like, oh, babes, you clearly have food challenges. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. And I've worked really, really hard to work on healing those and continuing to heal those. Woohoo! But so here's some of the snappy responses that in this Washington Post article they had is, if someone says, oh, are you on Ozempic or are you on Zepbound? It's none of your business. I feel like that one's kind of defensive. I wouldn't say that. I like to keep a little mystery. That's one. Who wants to know? I feel like that one's also very defensive. And then they said in the article, my personal favorite is, my weight is really not that interesting. I like that one. I think that's a good one. Tell me in the comments below, what have you said? Because I know we've talked about this so much, of where some people do not want other people to know that it is a private thing, that maybe their partner knows, or in some cases, some of y'all have told me your partner doesn't even know. I know before your partner knows. And y'all know I am a vault. If you tell me things, like celebrities have told me stuff like, I got secrets, and I would not. I am a vault. When people tell me stuff, I'm not divulging that. So I like that. My weight is really not that interesting. Bottom line, it's nobody's business but your own, and you don't need to discuss your prescriptions with anyone but your doctor or healthcare provider. So then this is the next part of this, is people asking for dinner parties has become a new thing, or eating out, which, y'all, I've talked about this literally for the last 2.5 years about going out to dinner. Go back when I lost my first like 10 pounds, I had talked about this exact comment. People taking GLP-1 often experience appetite changes. And so side effects like nausea can limit how they eat. Some people find it less interested in drinking alcohol as well. This means in social situations, you may not want to eat or drink like you have in the past. If you're dining at a friend's house, and can't eat as much as you want, simply say no thank you should suffice, and considerate hosts won't press the issue. When dining out, there's the age-old dilemma about splitting the check. I only had a salad, you had a steak, I don't drink alcohol, and splitting the check. So that's one of the things that I think is really, really interesting, of how do you split the bill when you're like, I had a Diet Coke and a salad, where you had a big hamburger. Like I'm like, we'll split the bill, or I'll just pay for the whole thing. Sometimes I'm like, I just got it. Like, I don't even want to think about it. But the post says, Emily Post's great-great-granddaughter says, no, that wasn't her name. Her name was Lizzie Post, the great-great-granddaughter. It was the great-great-granddaughter. So Lizzie Post is saying some specific strategies. Hey guys, I'm eating a lot less these days. Is it okay if I get my own check? Or if we offer to use check sharing apps like Biller or Divvy, so those diners pay what they owe. Y'all, I've never heard of bill paying apps. I find that hysterical. That to me, I'm like, oh wow, Emily Post's great-great-granddaughter suggests that you use a bill paying app. That's fascinating to me. On a sidebar of GLP-1, either I would pay the whole thing, or I'd be like, we're splitting it down the middle with simple calculation on my handy dandy calculator. I don't need an app to split it 50-50, babes. But maybe if you're out in a group of like 10 people and you're dividing it by 10, maybe that's it. But this is when you go to someone's house and they're hosting a dinner party. It says, I've started to ask guests not only if they have any food allergies or preferences, but also, this is the new GLP-1 question. Is there anything else I need to know when preparing dinner? I thought that was a good one. That allows room for someone to let me know either they're on a GLP-1 or simply that they're not able to eat certain amounts or types of food these days. For that reason, I'm also inclined to serve a buffet style, letting everyone decide how much they want on their plate, which I think is a fascinating idea. And I wanted to poll our audience here. So tell me in the comments below. Going over to people's homes, do you prefer having like the sit down dinner style or like a sit down lunch, or having that buffet style because of the GLP-1 medication? For me, I personally rather do the buffet style of where I'm serving myself or just getting up and grazing, as opposed to having like a plated dinner where everyone can see, or a plated lunch. I much rather scoop it myself and just have the buffet style on it so I can get as much or as little as I want. And this is the other thing to think about with hostesses and hosts for parties, particularly as you guys know, I'm already planning Christmas. My favorite time of year is September 1st all the way to January 1st. And then after that and before that, I'm not quite as excited. But literally getting ready for the holidays, I love this time of year. I've already started playing Christmas music. Ho, ho, ho. But in there, planning with the holidays, day 2 and day 3 for me, I am not eating as much. Whereas day 5, day 6, day 7, because day 5 on Zepbound is half-life dose, I am going to eat more on those days, day 5, day 6, day 7. And so that also, I personally not would tell my hostess, well, it's day 5 for me, so let me chow down. I would just say, if I knew in looking at my planner versus my shot date versus the shot date versus my day 5, if it's half-life dose, I would say that then to, like, I would make a note of, hey, I may not be as hungry, so feel free to have less food for me. You know what I mean? But if it's day 3, day 2 and day 3, I definitely would mention something to the hostess, being like, hey, you don't need, I'm going to be pretty full. I'm on this new plan, or whatever you want to say. It could be as something as, I'm trying this new eating plan, or whatever, because that is true. You are trying a new eating plan, whatever you feel most comfortable with. But I definitely would say something. And also in social situations, it gives other people permission, because maybe they want to drink, maybe they want to eat a ton. I have friends that they were food friends. We would go out and eat a ton together. And that was like part of our friendship, was eating a ton of food and going out to restaurants. And I'm a foodie still. I love really good food. But it was intentionally to go have like decadent food. You know what I'm saying? Like indulge, scratch that itch of like a dopamine hit of getting, a lot of food. And so giving other people permission, you do you. Like, I have no judgment on that. You do you, boo. But for me, I'm comfortable with my diet. Usually I eat a lot of beverages, a water, a soda water, a Diet Coke, sometimes a decaf coffee, sometimes not. And I always tell the waitress or waiter, the server, hey, don't worry, I'm a good tipper. Like, don't worry, I know I'm just having this. And sometimes I'll get a salad to pick on, and sometimes not, because sometimes I feel pressure to have something in front of me. And if that's the case, I'll just get something little or something for the next day for my lunch to be able to have that I can just take as leftovers, or something with protein in there, like a shrimp cocktail. Great, I'll just have the shrimp cocktail. And that, you see what I'm saying? Like, just something little, something in front of me, to plan that out. But bottom line, be prepared to communicate your needs ahead of time. And don't pry for details if a friend's eating habits have changed, which 12% of the population has tried a GLP-1 medication. So yes, they have changed. I've faced many well-meaning but intrusive questions myself, which is why I smiled when I said, too bad there isn't a GLP-1 for ignorance. I thought that one was pretty good. But I do just find this fascinating about how there's these societal shifts and that are happening. It's also fascinating to me too, and one of the other questions I have wanted to ask, but I've kept my mouth closed. So if you are watching this and you know somebody in real life, I'm probably talking about you, is people in my real life of where I knew previously they were on GLP-1 medication, but they have not talked to me subsequently since about being on GLP-1 medication. Because of these rules and etiquette, I would not say, hey, are you still on GLP-1 medication? Right? Like, I wouldn't do that. Like, I don't think it's my business, depending on who it is. Like I said, some people I have like who are really good friends where I'm like, girl, you still on your GLP-1? How's that going? You still having blowout diarrhea? Tell me all the scoop. You know what I mean? Like, so I have some girlfriends like that. But then other people in my life of where they've come to pass in different ways through different outlets of my life, that it's not appropriate for me to be like, so are you still on it? But I'm secretly dying to know. So if you are somebody in my real life, I'm like dying to know, are you still on GLP-1? Tell I'm still wanting to know. Because, you know, most people by year one stop taking it. Like it's just a huge portion of people stop taking GLP-1 medication by year one. So I think that this is fascinating about people asking questions, but I also think it's so fascinating about the new rules at dinner parties and new rules about sharing the restaurant tab. The restaurant tab one, that really just pokes my craw. It gets in, like that just chafes my thighs, honey. Like, no, I don't want to pay for your big meal when I'm having just a little water. Like, no. Which is also maybe why I don't have that many friends. Maybe because I'm socially a stickler about, I'm like, or I like to go places of where we just naturally pay. Speaking of which, we're going to have the Virginia get together soon. But sooner than that, I will be going up last minute to HSN and QVC in September in the free encouragement group on countessofshopping.com/group. We're going to have a lunch date near the end of September. I'm not posting it here. I'm posting it in the group, partially for safety reasons. You know what I mean? Like, so just FYI, it's in the group if you are in Pennsylvania and you want to go near the end of September. It is during a work day though, because I will be on QVC. It's after my morning QVC HSN show. So FYI on that. And we will be having separate bills. Which is one of the things of these meet and greets I'm trying to figure out of like these get-togethers of like having separate bills as part of it and who can accommodate, like there's only but so much space at Starbucks for our booties to all sit, but I want us to be able to pay individual bills. So I find this fascinating about sharing restaurant tabs. The other thing I've talked about in other videos is dating, right? If you're on one of those swipe apps, what are they like, you know what I mean? Like Tinder or I'm gonna say Grindr, but I don't think that's right. These other websites or these other apps for dating, like if you're going on dates, my husband always jokes, we met when I was 18, third day at JMU college. But I ordered a salad for the first few dates. And then as they got to know me, I'd be like, I'll have a plate of ribs, please. Like, and then like it started to progress. But when we first started dating, it was like a little salad. I'm super curious that too about the dating culture for people who are on GLP-1 medication in terms of food consumption. I'm assuming you probably do more things of like, hey, let's go hiking or let's go do outdoor stuff and it's less foodsy, I'm guessing. I'm also guessing on dating apps, I'm super curious if there's a whole segment of people who are on GLP-1. And that helps them swipe right. Is that how people swipe right when you like somebody? I find that also fascinating. I bet you there is a cultural phenomenon just shifting right now with people who are on GLP-1 and dating. I've done one on dating before, and the one that was on intimacy. So, and I talk a little bit about dating in that particular episode, which is in the playlist down below. But I find this whole thing fascinating. I do find it... The rudeness, though, of people, and y'all, I get asked on a daily basis some rude ASS questions. I'm like, what in God's green earth are you thinking, asking me that? So I get it. So it's not unsurprising to me that people are like, so are you on a GLP-1? And I know some people are super sensitive about it. I'm still, even 2.5 years later, of having done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of YouTube videos on a daily basis, sensitive about some stuff. There's still some stuff that I'm sensitive about. I looked at it the other day. I was like, why am I so sensitive about that? And I realized, I'm like, there's still some, you know, some pain that's associated with being morbidly obese that I still continue. That's why I have a therapist. That's why I have my Avengers team to help me heal, right? To change my body, mind, and spirit to be a better person, healthy, not just through weight loss, but also body, mind, and spirit with that too. Because my whole life has changed as a result of this medication. Financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, as a mom, as a wife, as a friend, like you, as a worker, as a business owner, like you name it. As a contractor, as a contractor out and as a contractee, like all of it, like it's changed. And so with that, having to face these nuances, but I do find that this is one of the, it's fascinating what people will ask. And coworkers. Now I own my own business. I own my own company. So people who I work with, I don't have employees, except for maybe now my hot husband. He's an employee. I guess when he left Homeland Security earlier this year, he became an employee, but he'd already been, so not really. But I don't have employees anymore. But as a fun fact, I used to own one of the largest dog walking companies in the nation. Before we sold it, we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of employees, and I will never have employees ever again. I am not a good manager. I fully recognize that about myself, but I digress. So I couldn't imagine having employees or coworkers that you have that relationship with where like a coworker would ask you, like in the professional setting, ooh, ooh, that's an HR issue. I wouldn't ask. Like that to me, I'm like, that's not just a personal issue, that's also an HR issue of like, do not ask that in the workplace at all. Like, I'm sure that's been one. Like, I've also thought about that too. Like I said, I don't have employees. I have contractors I work with where I'm an independent contractor and contract things out. But I would never, unless someone brought it up to me. Now, when people bring it up to me, it's fair game, but I won't bring it back up unless they do. But if people, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, guess what? And I want to be like, babes, I was in front of, I went in front on YouTube in front of millions of people, and I was on Oprah in front of millions of people. You think, you like, I don't care. In fact, I'm really excited for you that you're on GLP-1. Sometimes people, I think, share it's like a source of shame, and I'm like, no, this is exciting. This is how my life's changed. It was the day the music died, and I said goodbye, bye, Miss American Pie. Like I got very excited. I drove the Chevy to the levee, and that's when I got my Manjaro on my first injection in January 2023. One of the best days of my life. I thought I was gonna have two heads with it, and I was so sweaty. I remember just sweating profusely under my armpits and being like, oh my gosh. I was filming a video. I should find that video. I should totally find that video and look at my pit stains. I'm just kidding. I think today is Countess Unhinged. Sorry, friends. It's late. I'm filming this late. Normally I film my videos earlier. Today's just been very, very busy. So I'm a little like, we just had dinner. Like I gotta go help my son with, anyways. Countess Unhinged for the later, it's not even late night, by the way. It's like 6 o'clock. I'm like, bedtime's in about an hour. I want to get my mouth guard in. Apparently that's when I become unhinged, is like 6 o'clock at night. Like, yeah. I find this topic fascinating. So I want to know down below also your question of the day. We've got two. One is your accountability question, which I always ask. What are you doing today to move you closer to your goals? Number two, I want to know the biggest backhanded compliment you've gotten. Mine, which I just posted a YouTube short, and then also on Countess of Shopping Instagram and Countess of Shopping TikTok, where I said, where people are always like, you have such a pretty face. And then I said in the video, like it was a before and after. And I was like, well, guess what? I still have a pretty face, but it was like the before and after. But like that always drove me nuts. You have such a pretty face if you lost weight, like is the implication. Thank you. Thank you, I guess. Like, or you carry your weight well. That was a good one. Blonde wrote that one. So I want to hear yours. What are yours? Our next emoji of the day, I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care. Our emoji of the day is going to be a swan. I hope they have swans. If they don't, then a duck. But I prefer the swan. I feel like that's a way better metaphor, dear. In the words of Blanche Devereaux, I know what a metaphor is, dear. So our emoji of the day, I do emojis of the day to get to know you better because I care. It's like our bat signal. It's an easy way for us to connect. That pattern recognition of having millions of people watching. I will get to know you. I would also love it if you joined the group too. It's all of this is linked down in the description link below too. All of like my Amazon shopping list. By the time this comes out, the Built protein bar discount for the new sour bars, they very well may sell out. And the new protein sodas from Clean Simple Eats, I have all my discount codes for those. Those may sell out too. So if you're not on my email newsletter list, you snooze, you lose. I told you guys all about it on today's day of filming when the email newsletter went out. But our emoji of the day is the swan. It's my bat signal to pray over you. If you don't believe in prayer, I'll uplift you in positive thought, as all are welcome at the Countess of Shopping table. Let's be light. Let's encourage each other with hopefully a little bit of laughter. Hopefully this wasn't too serious. Sometimes I feel like it's so serious. You guys know, like I've cried about 10 million times on the internet, but sometimes we just gotta be goofy. We gotta be goofy. And I told my husband, I was like, my intention is to be like, I'm a goofy girl, goofy gal, a little goofy gal, gaggle of gals, is to be more myself. I feel like I am myself, but like, I'm a little goofy, I'm a little weird. Like, and so I told my husband, I was like, YouTube, like, this is the next, like, I don't know, 3.0, 4.0 for me is like just being a little bit more myself of my goofiness. So it's an exciting time here. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. In the words of Michael Bublé. I love you guys so super much. Tell me down below what you're doing today to move you closer to your goals. Make sure you click like and subscribe. I don't know what you're doing with your life if you've not subscribed to the Countess of Shopping channel, but you need to. And be kind to yourself, be kind to others. I'm Countess of Shopping. Count my blessings because life is delicious. Love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, friends.